Well, hello everyone. This is Carrie back with How to Homeschool My Child, and this is day 2 of our featured week for How to Homeschool My Child, and I'm excited to be here. I actually forgot to leave something about our leaving a comment. So let me see if I can, it's not going to let me edit it. So what I was going to say is I had all these great ideas and I've already forgotten them. Um, Leave a comment with your name and tell us what you had for lunch. I have a St. Patrick's one for tomorrow. Or are you going to celebrate St. Patrick's Day tomorrow? Either one. Tell us what you ate for lunch, or tell us what you had. If you're going to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Today I'm here to talk about character. Yesterday I talked about just doing the right thing with our homeschool and being focused and building relationships with our kids as well, and being very intentional with what that you're going to do. Today I want to talk about character building, because I believe character building is the foundation of everything you do. It is the foundation of your relationship with you and your kids, and it is the foundation of raising your kids to be adults who can live in this world, who can have an influence and an impact. Now, when my kids were growing up, and for those of, I'm not going to introduce them all, but you can see here, my kids are all grown up now, and I've got grandchildren, so I'm watching it now from this foundation. But they are who they are because of the time and the effort and energy that we spent on them growing up. And it is not easy. But when they were young, one of our goals was for them to grow godly character. That was a top priority. And to be consistent in our parenting and our child training was sometimes difficult. It's like, what am I going to do? I don't know. The kids are in there arguing. What are we going to do? Is consistency a problem for you too? After all, we know consistency and following God's word is key to raising children. We know consistency in character building will prepare your kids for adult life. I'm seeing it. Now, it takes time and it's not going to happen overnight. We also know that when we use the Bible as a basis for our character, it will last a lifetime. Now, I'm a person of faith. If you aren't, that's okay. You can still use some of these ideas and just do it according to where you are in life. But I will show you how I tie in the Bible with consistency and with Bible training. One of the first things I think you need to realize is there's a difference between God's rules and family rules, and you need to teach your kids that. And I meant to have my Bible here. I could say it's here on my phone because I have my Bible on my phone too. It's probably going to go off in just a minute, but we need to teach them there is a difference. We don't lie because that is God's rule. We come home at 10 o'clock because that's a family rule. And they need to know the difference between God's rules and family rules. We need both of them. You are going to make decisions. You are going to take what you are learning in the Bible, the principles, and what you are hearing from God, and you are going to make decisions about how you raise your kids. But we need to say, we can look at the 10 Commandments. We can go to Ephesians 4:32. Be kind to one another. Why? Because God tells us to. Be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another. We forgive not just because forgiveness will give us joy and peace. We forgive because God forgave us. We need to distinguish between God's rules and family rules as well. And when we can do that, we can move forward in our character building. I think, and I said, I think the Bible is the foundation of building character. And so when our kids were young, if they were arguing, let's say in the other room, then I had to snooze it. When they're arguing in the other room, I would come and I would talk to them, and I would say, just a minute. And then I would go get my Bible, and I had a list of verses that I would use. And we would open up to a verse that I chose when they were young. And I would read it out loud, and we would talk about it, and then talk about their actions and say, is that following God? And then we could talk about the consequences. On the other hand, if they were peace, if they were getting along, we need to recognize their positive behavior too. Too often, all we do is recognize and give consequences for their negative. If you see your kids getting along or serving one another, come with them and say, wow, look, you are following this verse. You are obeying God. And then we have some sort of reward. It doesn't have to be called a reward, but it is the result of them obeying. God rewards me for obeying him. He is going to give rewards in heaven. Rewards are not a bad thing. So when they are doing the right thing, when they are obeying, we need to reward them. But we always go back to God's word, or at least I do. Now, as they got older, it needed to be more on their shoulders than me telling them what to do. Once they could read a verse and be able to think about it themselves, so maybe around 11 or 12, I would actually give them a list of verses. We'll go back to the arguing example. I'd give them my whole list of verses, and I would say, I want you to look up 3 of these verses. And on this piece of paper, you don't have to write the verse. I want you to tell me what God is you're learning from that verse. So they were coming up with 3 applications about arguing or about getting along. Then I could talk to them about what they discovered. See, we take it off of me choosing a verse when they're young, and then we talk about it, so that then we go to them going to the Bible and reading that verse, and then deciding what God has for them to say. Now, my whole point's on consistency, so I'm getting there. We need to be able to start with, what are our expectations? When it comes to God's rules, our expectations are all in the Bible. So we always go there. And hopefully, as they learn to look at the Bible themselves, as adults, they would do the same thing. Now, what I want to do is show you a resource that I created, because I wish that I had had something like this when they were younger, and is our character chart. And I actually think these character charts, and if you don't have, you don't have to use this, you can do something similar. If you don't going to use the Bible verses, you can still do something similar. But what you need to do to be consistent is you need to think before the event happens. And you need to write down the rewards and the consequences before the event happens. And then, and I'm picking on arguing, but it could be disrespect, it could be lying, it could be pushing your brother, or fighting, or whatever you want it to be. But let's go to arguing. When you hear your kids arguing, you grab your chart that already has the consequence, and you go into them, and then you can talk about that with them. When you see them making peace, you grab the chart off the refrigerator, and you don't have to think. You've already come up with your answer. So let's take a look at what this is. This is speaking. This chart is on speaking, words. Being thankful or complaining. And there's a verse here, and then there's a place for you to write what happens when your child is thankful. There is a verse here when they're complaining to write what happens. We have another one, confessing your sin or making excuses. And there's verses. So we take the verse, and then we come up with a consequence or a reward. And you're going, I still don't know what to do. Guess what? It'll come digitally, and in the PDF, you will get a list here. It tells you how to use the charts, and then it says, here are some suggested rewards, here are some suggested consequences. You decide for your family what the reward and what the consequence is. We have 3 different charts here with different things, and here's one of them right here at the top, because our family struggled. Making peace and arguing. A verse about blessed are the peacemakers, they will be called children of God. Write what happens. Arguing, an angry person stirs up conflict, and a hot-tempered person commits many sins. And then you write your consequence there. This can help you be consistent because you've already decided ahead of time. If you are not a person of faith, you can still come up with the things that your kids are doing, positive and negative, and write the reward and write the consequence for them. Now, I do think that character building is more than just enforcing behavior. I think you still need to come to the heart. And that is why when we come and we look at this verse, we're going to talk to our kids and ask them questions about why they did this or what was going on. And I know it's hard to decipher what went on when you're not there. But try to decipher what has gone on with your kids so that you can then talk to them about their heart. Maybe they've been having a really bad day. You need to dig down to the root of what's going on. This is more about consistency, but you need to tend your child's heart. That is where relationships are built. And I believe that is where true character is built, when we tend their heart as well. And so I think these are a tool to get you started, but you want to go beyond this. And when your kids get to the point of actually looking up their verse on their own, then you can ask questions. And I would actually meet with them individually if it was an argument, if there were 2 people involved in whatever the problem is. because you can learn a little bit more about their heart. Now, I know it's hard with a 3 or 4 or 5 year old to actually get to their heart, but that is where our goal is. We want to tend their heart. We want to change their heart. We can change their behavior, but if we don't change their heart, it's not going to be a lifelong change. And that's where we want to work with building that relationship with God and building a relationship with your child. And so it's a three-way thing. So that's what you want to do. Now, I do want to just mention that I have these charts. They are available and you can actually save $5. It is called a character training toolkit. You'll come with these digitally. You can print them out and laminate them, or you can print them out and just use them and then print another one the next time you need them. The character chart also comes with a video. I have an entire workshop on being consistent with your kids, gaining peace through consistency. And then I've got an ebook, Teaching Good Manners, teaching tips for busy moms. I know y'all are all busy, but manners, I think, are an exhibit of good character. They are a picture of what's going on in your heart. And so I think it's important that we do teach our kids manners. And there's a lot of different hands-on ways, practical ways you can do that as well. The code, and I will put the URL in just a minute, the code to save $5 on the toolkit is Top March. Top March. So you will be able to save it. That goes through the end of the week. I am also giving away a copy of our character training toolkit, and you have from now till Friday to be able to do that as well. And you can there is on another post, I will put it here, but on that post it will give you an opportunity to leave a comment. Every comment you leave will be an entry to win one of our character training toolkits. Again, the character training toolkits include these charts that help you be more consistent. They include a video workshop, and they include our ebook on teaching good manners, teaching tips for busy moms. Now, no real comments here today. That's okay. I am going to go ahead and close out. And as soon as I'm finished, I will put the link here for you to be able to go get that toolkit and save $5 on it as well. Thanks so much for spending time with me. If you have any comments about consistency, or if you have other ideas, please feel free to leave them here. I am Carrie Beck with How to Homeschool My Child. Y'all have a great day.